So let me ask you 3 quick questions. Have you ever checked your wallet or bank account and wondered, where did all my money go? Do you feel like saving money is just impossible no matter how hard you try? Are you literally driving blind financially? Are you money blind? If you answered yes to any of these, don't worry, you're not alone. Recent studies show that 60 to 65% of Americans claim that they're living paycheck to paycheck, and this includes high-income earners over $100,000 per year. Interestingly enough, there's a very common and proven solution to assist with this very issue, and ironically, around 65% of Americans choose not to use it. You guessed it, a budget. But don't click away just yet. I know many roll their eyes at the topic. Well, clearly 65% do. But I'm here to tell you this does not have to be complicated. In this video, we're going to discuss ideas to make budgeting simple, doable, and better yet, life-changing for your future. So let's dive right in. Hey everyone, this is AJ, your ace in the hole, and welcome to the channel where we super simplify personal finance and provide tips and life hacks for young adults and others based on real-life experiences to help kickstart your financial journey. Whether you're a youngster just getting started or a parent looking for some ideas, either way, I'm here to help stack the deck in your favor. So that said, let's get right to it. So for starters, what is budgeting? Simply put, budgeting is the practice of creating a plan to manage your income and expenses. A personal budget provides financial clarity, helps prevent overspending, and ensures progress towards your financial goals. In its simplest form, you need to ensure that every dollar has a purpose, whether it's for saving or for spending, and a budget is the tool to help you accomplish this. So imagine the first thing you're thinking is, if maintaining a budget is so helpful, why do only 35% of Americans bother with it? Well, it's probably the same reason we all feel so good when we're exercising and in good health, yet still find it so hard to get up and go to the gym. You see, many of the reasons people avoid budgeting actually has little to do with their financial aspect of their personal finances. I'm going to talk about some of the common reasons why in just a bit, but what you'll see is that many of these are more psychological and emotional than anything. The good news is that with just a little focus, these are in your control. And once you establish a style of budgeting that works for you, and there are many options which we'll walk through shortly, it really becomes your personal guardrails to live by, helping guide you into a successful financial future, which is really what this is all about. Now let's talk about some of the top reasons most avoid budgeting in the first place. This might help you identify if and where you might fall, which is the first step in helping you determine the best budgeting option for you. Probably the most common reason of all is budgets feel restrictive. As soon as you mention the word budget, most correlate this with not spending money at all, or a very restrictive approach to spending. And let's face it, we all work hard for our money and we want to spend it on things. However, a budget actually allows you to spend, but in a planful manner, which can actually help one emotionally, building a sense of pride when you achieve and even exceed your budget when you can. It also allows you to plan appropriately for your non-discretionary expenses or your needs, things such as rent, utilities, groceries, or insurance, and for your discretionary expenses, your wants, things such as dining out, coffee, entertainment, subscriptions, and shopping. Another big reason many avoid budgeting is the fear of confronting reality due to poor and undisciplined spending habits. You may even already know this about yourself as we're talking through some of this. Some may have very emotional or impulsive spending habits, purchasing things they know deep down inside they don't really need, yet they rationalize this spending as a type of reward. Or maybe they purchase sale items for the perception of saving money even though they don't need the item in the first place. Some find it just easier to ignore a budget rather than face the numbers. Tracking expenses may highlight bad spending habits that you might simply rather not acknowledge. And then finally, many see creating a budget is just too complicated or time-consuming. But as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, budgeting does not have to be complicated, and on the contrary, can be quite simple. However, many overcomplicate the concept and make assumptions or excuses that they don't have the time to commit. The reality is that you can create a simple budgeting process that requires very little time. Granted, if you're a spreadsheet nerd like I am, you can certainly create some really fancy and complex budget trackers, and some find even that rewarding. In fact, there are a number of budgeting apps now available in various forms, which I'll link below. Heck, I wish I had these when I was starting out. And as I mentioned earlier, here are a few of the many budgeting options you might use. The key is finding any one that best fits your situation and making it a part of your regimen. So for starters, a very common budgeting practice, and one of the simplest, is the 50-30-20 rule. This method simply suggests that you set aside 50% of your income for needs, such as rent, utilities, 30% of your income for wants, such as dining and shopping, and then 20% of your income for savings. This is one of the simplest methods and divides your budget into 3 very distinct categories without breaking it down further. Next, we have a weekly method. So instead of creating a monthly budget, which is most customary, break down your expenses into a weekly budget instead. Set weekly limits for your expenses, which can make tracking easier and more manageable and let you know quicker if you're veering off track. By catching overspending earlier, you can adjust your spending sooner rather than learning at the end of the month that you can't pay your bills. And then finally, as I mentioned earlier, there are a number of budgeting apps available that can range from simple free apps to more robust pay apps that can help not only manage your budget, but can automate the process as well, helping further reduce the time you spend maintaining your budget. These can not only help you manage your budget, but can also help you learn more about budgeting in the process, which leads me to my own personal entry into budgeting. One tip you might consider, which is something I did back in the day when I started budgeting roughly 30 years ago, is to track all spending for a period of time. When I finally moved out on my own, I wanted to understand where every dollar went to help me understand what I was working with, for starters. While some may understandably consider this a little extreme, I tracked every dollar I spent and categorized it accordingly using a pretty basic spreadsheet. I planned to do this for about 3 months, but instead ended up tracking a very detailed list of my spending for about 6 months to give myself a comfort level that I was capturing everything, since some expenses are more infrequent or even seasonal. For example, you might spend more in the month of December when purchasing Christmas gifts for others that you might not recognize in other months. Now, I'm not necessarily suggesting you do this, but this was a fantastic eye-opener and was a very humbling experience to face the reality of my spending habits that in some cases was not even aware that I had. So if you really want the hard truth about your spending habits, this is a great way to do this, and I would highly recommend this, especially if you're struggling financially. So let's summarize with a few fundamental takeaways that are absolutely pivotal, especially if you're just starting out with your own budgeting process. So first is budgeting options. There are many options you might consider. They range from simple to complex and should be based on your desired level of interest and financial complexity. There's really no right or wrong answers, but do something. Pick a budgeting option, get started, and stick to it. You can always change it up later. The option you choose is not a long-term commitment, so start now. Next is that budgeting goes way beyond the math. While budgeting at its core all boils down to simple math, as we discussed earlier, human emotion plays a huge role in budgeting. Spending and saving habits are deeply tied to emotions like pleasure, stress, excitement, guilt, and even fear. This is a great opportunity for self-reflection to understand what drives your spending habits. And on the contrary, budgeting can actually remove stress and anxiety from your life by increasing confidence in your financial decisions. And then finally, it's about awareness. The bottom line here is you must keep an eye on where your money's going, and a budget helps you accomplish that. As renowned author and management consultant Peter Drucker famously said, "You cannot manage what you don't measure," meaning if you don't measure something, then how do you know how you're performing? Spending without financial awareness is literally like driving through life blindfolded, so don't get caught off guard. Join the 35%, making budgeting a part of your spending practice, and set yourself up now for a successful financial future. Now, before we conclude, if you found this video helpful in any way, please give it a like and subscribe. And if you know anyone that might be interested in this type of content, please share the video. It's our goal to help educate and arm our future generations with the info they need to build their own financial success in life. And if you're interested in more info regarding these types of topics, please check out any of these other videos, and I hope to see you next time. This is AJ, your ace in the hole. See ya!